The comp suite, she said, was only for the whale. I watch people forget probability. That's casino surveillance if you scrub the romance out of it. The room we live in is always night. Racks of monitors stacked like a nervous cathedral, the hum of recorders, the slow pan of domes nobody sees. We call ourselves eye in the sky, then act like librarians with better optics. We log fills and credits, track markers and facial tics, watch dealers do ballet with cards they don't own. Title 31 loves us. So does Nora, the suspicious activity tool that pretends money has manners. The floor below works on cheers and chips. We work on patience. Danny glides through that other universe like gravity took a bet and lost. She hosts premium players, walks them to their tables, remembers birthdays and mispronunciations, has a laugh that makes pit bosses turn polite. We met 2 Decembers ago when a guy at her table tried to tip her with a watch that still had the store tag under the clasp. I pinged a pit call. She slipped the watch back like mercy dressed as policy. After her shift, she came up to the room nobody ever gets a tour of and stared at the wall of screens with a look that read, "So this is what gods see when they're embarrassed." We started bringing each other terrible coffee and better truths. The first thing you learn in surveillance is that comped things cost the most. On a Monday that should have belonged to cards that always behave, a marker request hit my queue from Pit 3. Name: Victor Schieffer. We call men like him whales because they swim in and leave wakes. The credit slip glowed for 100K. Victor's rating made our credit manager hum. His losses made finance write love letters. Danny checked him in personally. His player card blipped on my screen, and there she was, hand on his elbow, that perfect combo of warmth and distance she taught me one night and let me use all the time. Player escort to HL room, the pit said over the radio. Host on comp. The cameras follow without thinking. Dome 31 caught them at the Baccarat table, 6 decks, tie bets like jokes. Victor threw lammers as if accuracy were beneath him. Danny stood close enough to get credit for presence without owing skin. She did the touch on the back of his chair we joke is the legal minimum for a man to think he's being seen. It's choreography. It works. He lost. They always do hard, then soft. Chips streamed off his bank like a song got stuck in the part you hum all day by accident. Danny got him a scotch that cost half my rent and an apology that cost me 3. She laughed at a thing that wasn't funny. His hand practiced landing on the air near her wrist. NORA pinged unusual buys, because NORA pings on anyone who thinks cash has more rights than the rest of us. We comp whales rooms because whales pay our air. Suite 45, Faulkner Tower again, because the city likes repeating itself. Went green on the host console. I watched Danny in our tiny square of time, head tilted as she explained something to Victor that made him smile like he'd just purchased gravity. Up in the room, my supervisor shifted his weight, which is surveillance for pretend we're not people. He'll want an escort to his comp, he said. Tell Pitt if he starts shopping for privacy. Host has him, I said, because that's what the monitor told me and what I needed to believe. Our relationship survived because we obeyed stupid rules we invented ourselves. No gaming talk in the kitchen after midnight. No eyes in the sky at home. No whales in our bed. It was working. Then my console fed me a line that tasted like aluminum. Comp request. Faulkner 4502 host. D. Anton. 10 minutes after her shift. She was supposed to be off. She was supposed to be at our place, trying to teach me how to sleep like the floor didn't need me. I could have ignored it. The job would have honored my silence. I trained a PTZ and watched the elevator lobby like it owed me something. Victor and Danny did the polite walk. She carried a gift bag, bottles dressed like apologies. He joked to the bellman that the view always looks better right before sunrise. The bellman laughed like Rent was listening. At the suite door, Victor did the thing he believed would read as gallant, leaned around Danny to open it for her, hand on glass. She stepped away in that fraction that saves women's wrists and men's futures. It took a second for the ocean in my chest to remember it was lungs. I logged it because that's what the cursor asked me to do. Host escort, door closed, 2319. We don't have audio, we have angles. Our hall cameras are polite. The lens catches the corridor up to the comp door, then vows to forget. I watched screen 17 until my supervisor cleared his throat. Don't be your worst self, he said, which is also in the handbook if you read between the lines. The suite door opened at 2331. Danny came out alone, hair too neat for a man who tries to be a story. She talked to the bellman on purpose, long enough to make it obvious she hadn't rushed. On 23, she took the service elevator down, not the guest one, host habit, not shame. I clocked out when the room stopped talking. I drove home like the speed limit was a suggestion, and then apologized to my steering wheel for being predictable. The apartment smelled like mint and the invisible fingerprints of living with somebody. Danny stood at the sink barefoot, in the t-shirt of mine that likes to be borrowed, chewing on a lemon peel like she wanted proof the night was clean. You looked at me looking at you, she said. She's fluent in crimes I didn't commit. The suite smelled like comped bad decisions, I said. I watch people believe they invented exceptions. I needed you to not be a math problem. She dried her hands slow. I walked him to the door, she said. He tried himself. I reminded him consent keeps whales from beaching. I believed her mouth. I did not trust my job. Surveillance makes you suspicious of weather. Text me before a suite door next time, I said. Even if it's 3 words. Even if it's save me soon typed in your pocket at a red light. She crossed to me and hooked her finger in my belt loop the way she does when she remembers the room we're in belongs to us, and not the millions of eyes my job thinks it owns. I'm not cheating on you with a man who believes loss is something to brag into your hair, she said. I'm not cheating on you at all. I'm cheating on the room that pays me. We didn't solve it with sex. We used heat like punctuation. She climbed onto me on the edge of the counter until my pulse remembered, and we stopped there because neither of us likes paying with proof. In bed, I put my palm on her ribs where breath learns it should be used for reasons other than apology. She slept. I watched our ceiling memorize us. The next day the floor did what floors do. Lights, chips, the pattern of 1,000 hands teaching cardboard to be almost interesting. Victor lost more. The table let him. Danny kept him just close enough to never guarantee anything. The pit comped him another scotch and a steak I can't afford. He smiled at Danny like some men think renting means owning the hallway outside. She put both hands behind her back because hosts know there's a language that's older than words. He asked for suite 4502 again, favoritism disguised as habit. She took him there at 20:03 with a bellman who probably went home and told his wife about nothing. Title 31 loves paperwork. Our compliance run pinged me. Marker settled with negotiable instruments. Source flagged. 3 structuring events trailing. Victor was either bad at being legitimate or rehearsing. I filed a SAR the way you write postcards you hope nobody reads. The casino would love him until the world asked us why we did. He started hunting angles. Hosts see it first, the way a whale checks which cameras pretend to be asleep. In the Faulkner Hall, he paused outside a blind spot, rolled his shoulders like a man who believes he's original. The PTZ can see empathy if you know where to put it. I panned slow and then froze, a trick we use to remind people nothing above ground is private. The fourth night, Danny asked for time off. "If anyone asks, say dentist," she texted. "If anyone looks, tell them I hate my own mouth." I checked her schedule because I can. She had a comp calendar note Faulkner again, but blocked out as VIP check-in with no player ID. I am a rational person. I am a professional. I followed her with my favorite dome and my least favorite heart. She didn't go to Victor's floor. She went to 3306 lower, weirder, where comp rooms go when we comp them for people we think are important to the house, not just the drop. She touched her badge to the door. It opened like it knew her. She walked through it, then back out immediately, checked her phone, smiled at something like you smile at a dog that finally learned to drop it. She waited. The hallway camera counted seconds in frames. At 19:12, the elevator opened. Not Victor. A woman, 40-ish, ring-worn thin, the posture of somebody who doesn't ask rooms for permission. Danny hugged her like a person with a hand on a flame, then pulled back, nervous and wild. Her sister. I had never met her because families are oceans we tell ourselves we'll swim later. Danny had told me once in the car, somewhere between a night shift and bad pancakes, that her sister liked to gamble cold. No noise, no rescue. She owes rooms she doesn't remember loving, Danny had said, and I didn't ask for footnotes because I'd been alive long enough to count my own. They went into the suite. They didn't come out for 4 hours. I watched 17 like a man inventing a ritual. At 23:46, the door popped. The sister left with her chin set to break. Danny followed, kissed her on the temple like a good luck slap, and they headed for the elevators not because they needed a floor but because they needed out of a story. Victor texted at 23:52. I saw it because he held his phone at chest height and walked under a dome with the brightness cranked up for a tryst we pretend is a security check. "You up is uglier in a man older than my father." Danny did not text back. When she came home, she smelled like hallways and woman. She took off her shoes like fighting, then leaned against the door like the building owed her lives it had already spent. "She's trying," she said. I decided to be a human person in the middle of a casino and forgot I was supposed to be a brand. I handed her water the way people hand each other rope. "I watched you," I said, "not to test you, to feel useful in a story that isn't mine." "I want you to watch me when it's yours," she said. She took my wrist, put my hand on her stomach, the place where the body expects to be named first, and whispered, "This is yours." We wrote rules because heat is trust and trust needs pushpins. Text before any whale door. Family trumps fill slips. Blind spots are for nobody. I added for me. If you're going to invent evidence in your head, audit it like a fraud case. She added for her. If you want to feel wanted, wake him up and ride him on the kitchen chair, not the suite's carpet. We are ridiculous. It works. The next week, Victor got flagged by compliance for doing math like he believed small bills make small sins. We 86'd him with a letter that called him sir and another that called the state. He came in anyway, the way storms do, and asked the pit for Danny like she was chips. She pretended not to understand the language. He looked up at the ceiling. I let a camera blink like patience. He left. The floor applauded quietly, then pretended it was about a jackpot somebody hit in the wrong quadrant. The room reset, like rooms do when they decide not to keep a memory on a loop. On my day off, Danny and I went to the desert because cities love holding grudges. We parked by a rock that pretended it had learned to be gentle. She climbed onto my lap in the way that resets the part of me that thinks in data structures. She kissed with the face I had convinced myself needed to be protected from everyone, then righted us both with a laugh. "Do you hate my job?" she asked after, in that tone you use when you already know the answer but want to hear it out loud. "No," I said. I hate my job when it tries to be our third person. So we make it go smoke on the balcony, she said. We wrote one more rule. It's the only one that matters. If you see something, say it to me before you say it to the log. I teach cameras to be less brave where she gets ready for work. She sets her phone face up on the counter like an altar we've already agreed not to worship. When she says sweet, I don't assume it's a sin. When I say ping, she doesn't assume it's a verdict. We survive. Some nights up in the room where we play God with less competence than we admit, I watch the floor turn into evidence and back again. I love my job. I hate that it pretends to know what men are owed. Danny slips into frame like an answer I don't need the question for. She gives a man a drink and takes away his certainty. She leaves with her shoulder still hers. She texts me home, 4 letters less urgent than they are, and I go there. I shut the dome in my head. I count her breath like chips I'd rather lose. The comped sweet, she said, was only for the whale was really for a woman trying to learn her own luck. Above the cameras and the tables and the men who think money is geometry, we build our own room. No pit, no markers, no lammers. Just 2 people betting on the only predictable math we've ever found. Stay, stay, stay.